Who was your biggest winner of round one?
Oh, I had 3 winners.
Oh, 3. Oh my goodness.
Hey, I'm going with Washington with Sonny Styles.
yeah.
I thought that was a perfect fit in the fact that they were able to sit there and get him. Loved.
Yeah, that's really all there is regarding the Washington Commanders and Sonny Styles. But you know, I did my best to pull together clips when there are barely any available. So I want to talk about Sonny Styles and the Commanders. Again, I've mentioned this before, it's funny to see which shows gravitate toward which teams, which franchises they choose to discuss. And honestly, the Commanders just landed themselves a dude without having to lift a finger. He seemingly fell right into their lap. I mean, this was one of those players that people were saying could be the best in the entire draft, right? I was taking some notes as I was going through all the teams. He could genuinely become the best linebacker in the league within a couple of years. Right? And you didn't have to do anything extra to go out and get him. And I wrote this down, Dan Quinn finally has to prove his worth. You're making a pick like this. You were brought in to be this defensive head coach. Just look around the league. Look what DeMeco Ryans has done. Look what Mike McDonald has done. Look what Mike Vrabel did. Look at what happens when you hire these great defensive coaches, they build great defenses. That is not what the Commanders have done with Dan Quinn. For a while, you could say, listen, he just got there. He's kind of holding this together with duct tape and super glue. Well, now we've had a couple of drafts. Now you've got yourself potentially an absolute bona fide elite player for your defense. A foundation piece. So get to work, man. Get to work. Get to work. To me, moves like this, I'm putting it squarely on the shoulders of Dan Quinn. Square on his shoulders. So to me, this ends up being a real career-defining moment. Everyone's out there saying, oh, Jayden Daniels. What about Jayden Daniels? Jayden Daniels is special. Jayden Daniels is almost like the computer of the future, I don't even know where that came from. He's the quarterback of the present and the future for the Commanders. But Dan Quinn? There's no guarantee he's the coach moving forward. I mean, if the Commanders aren't good this year, if they're a mess and the defense isn't performing, Dan Quinn could absolutely positively be fired in the middle of the season. That's just obvious, right? We know how this stuff works. So it's time to show what you can offer defensively here. You've done awesome things with multiple franchises. You built, especially in Dallas, an elite defense, and players were devastated when you left, right? So it's like, okay. You need to build that in Washington. We're in year 3 now. Multiple drafts have passed. It's time. It's time now. So again, to me, this is all about Dan Quinn, Dan Quinn, Dan Quinn. I really like this move. You know, I'm always going back and forth between offense and defense. That's kind of how I look at these drafts. I really reduce it more from an offensive lens and a defensive lens rather than a very specific, narrow viewpoint. Sometimes, if I'm looking at it from an offensive weapon standpoint, I would have loved to see Jayden Daniels get an offensive weapon as well. I'd love for him to get his long-term security blanket. I was talking about that with Mahomes and the Chiefs needing to replace Kelsey in that regard, and I would have loved to have seen that with Jayden. I talked about that with Lamar Jackson as well, and I stand by that. But this is what I always say, you just don't know who's available and what opportunity is in front of a team because people were talking about Jeremiah Love potentially falling to the Commanders. You just don't know. But now, when you see how the draft shaped up and the situation they found themselves in, I'm just like, okay, Dan Quinn. It's like, alright. I'm just going to keep repeating this defense better show up. It's time. It's time to feel like not only does the defense take care of business, but they actually become a major asset. There needs to be a game where you can say, oh yeah, man, that big game against the Eagles or the Rams or the Chiefs, yeah, they forced 2 turnovers. They pressured Stafford 18 times. Oh man, Stafford had no time to get rid of the ball. We've got to have some of these moments. Got to have some of these big games where you're just like, wow, did you see that 3rd down blitz? Like, oh my gosh. Bo Nix calls the snap and just has to immediately get rid of it. Those moments have to start building up here. And I pretty much see none of THM. So, you know, it's time for the Commanders to become more of a complete team. And again, I know last year everything was a mess with all the injuries and whatnot. I get that. I'm not holding their feet to the fire too harshly. But it's year 3. And a lot of these other teams, especially with great defensive coaches, when guys go down, they find a way to still make the defense workable, pretty legitimate. Robert Saleh is a masterclass, obviously. So yeah, the clock is on. Is that a saying? He's on the clock. Dan Quinn. I'll emphasize that one last time. It's all about Dan Quinn this year for me. I'm going to be looking at the Commanders through the lens of Dan Quinn when evaluating them. It's just, where do I stand with Dan Quinn right now? Is he the coach for the next 3, 4, 5 and beyond years to pair with Jaden Daniels and get this team to be a Super Bowl contender? If not, you start looking around and saying, alright, what coordinators are you looking to hire, offense or defense? I mean, look at the job that Hafley did in Green Bay, Minter in Los Angeles. That's also going to be really interesting. Let's see how quickly those guys get their defenses set up. That's what I'm saying. That's also going to be really interesting. Usually I don't look at a draft and say, this is for the coach. This is all about the coach. The coach is on the clock now. Usually you'll do that when it's like, okay, you just got this quarterback or receiver, no excuses. Quarter back is either good or not. Oh, they just drafted a lineman, they just fixed their O-line, no excuses now. And for me, I'm like, alright, Dan Quinn. No excuses, buddy. What have you got? But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you all think about the Washington Commanders? Do you agree that they won the draft so far according to Mangini? Like I said, I haven't seen a whole lot of conversations around the Commanders and Sonny styles. So this is the best we've got right now. Hopefully more stuff will come out over the weekend as the rest of the draft unfolds. But let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some fights, but ultimately let's just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you as part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing that. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.